Appleknocker Radio.
Alright, hello my friends. You may think that I am standing in front of a green screen, but you would be mistaken. I just arrived in a new house, brand new part of the country, and to find that one of the previous owners liked the color lime green, and so there are several rooms that are colored lime green, which is alright. There's much worse colors that you could choose, right? Maybe not the ideal color in my humble opinion, but yeah, I'll be painting over it. But I'm going to have a whole dedicated studio space that I will be getting set up in the relatively near future. But in the meantime, this is it's kind of just basically threw myself up here on the computer, so lighting's not great, space isn't set up properly, etc. But because I've been traveling, I haven't really had time to make many videos, except I shared some travel clips of things that I saw along the way. So I wanted to get back on the horse. I wanted to make some videos, or make a video, talk to all of you, and share a little bit of what's on my mind, but mostly to keep the habit going. You know, I mean, this is just like anything else. You get away from it, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, you just stop doing it completely, and I don't want that to happen because I do love this channel that I've built, and I'm very grateful for all of the cool experiences and all the great people that it's allowed me to meet. So I definitely don't want to let it fall by the wayside. So, alright, here's the deal. Like I said, I'm going to have a whole new studio space. This channel is going to be elevated big time as per how it's been going. You know, I've got some great interviews lined up. And always the interview portions, that will always be the core of this channel, no matter what. But, you know, while I was driving, I had a lot of time to think about a lot of things, and including this channel. I spent a lot of time thinking about this channel. Talk a little bit about some observations about consciousness. Actually, let's get into that first. So, as I'm traveling, I was on the road for about a week, and, you know, stayed at hotels most of the nights. And interesting experience, and also an interesting experience I had while driving. But, so here's the deal. You know, you go into hotels, and when you go down for the breakfasts or in the lobby or whatever, they always have the TV playing, right? Which I find inherently annoying. But this time, I'm just not a big TV guy. No offense to anybody out there that is. I don't own a TV. I don't watch TV. It's not my thing. Totally cool if it's yours. It's just not my thing. But so I'm out going to hotels, and this is not a partisan thing. Some hotels had on Fox News, some had on CNN, MSNBC. Doesn't matter. That's not my point. What my point is that whatever the station is, you know, it's actually really, number one, personally annoying. But also, I don't know if people really spend a lot of time thinking about the actual effect of this, right? Because I think I'm more sensitized to it than most people, which would make sense because I'm not a TV person myself. But, you know, every morning I'd walk in, get the, you know, the hotel breakfast before hitting the road. And you walk in and the TV's playing, and I couldn't help. Well, I did help, but it was a struggle. To hear what's being played, and automatically the second that whatever is on the news redirected my mind, and I would start thinking about that thing. And obviously it's never good, right? It's corporate news, so it's never good. It's always some end of the world thing, some terrible thing that's happening, etc., etc. But, you know, it really is profoundly annoying. But it's more than annoying. It's more than annoying. I want to go in. This isn't just a rant video, right? I never want to make those. Just not my thing. That's also not my thing. That's not what I want to do with this channel. So I'm not ranting. But it led me to an observation, you know, because I would walk down there, get to the breakfast, and instantly my mind would be diverted to whatever they were sharing on TV. And for the next couple hours, in some cases for the rest of the day, depending on what was on the news, I couldn't help but my mind would keep like pulling back to it, you know? And I mean, it's understandable, right? It's like, if somebody calls and says, yo, dude, your house is on fire, you're not going to be able to just forget that, right? You can use any tricks that you want in your mind, any kind of mental skills, and those are valuable, those are good. But still, there's always going to be that part in the back of your mind that's going to be saying, like, dude, my house is on fire. It's the same thing, you know? It's like, I would tell myself to block it out. Don't let it get to you. Don't waste time focusing on these things that you can't control and you have no impact over. But still, my mind would, for the rest of the day, would keep kind of subtly shifting back over to those things. I'd find I'd be driving and find myself thinking about this thing. And that's such a common part of our life. But it was even, while I was driving, I listened to audiobooks most of the time, or I just drove in silence. And I actually like driving in silence. Gives me time to think. Sometimes I listen to some audiobooks. Listen to some great audiobooks, by the way. But a couple times I popped on the radio. Again, this is something that I don't normally do. Like, I don't listen to the radio when I'm just, at home driving around doing errands or something. Never. Like, I never listen to the radio. I really haven't been finding myself listening to music in general much over the last couple of years, which is interesting because I used to be a really big music guy. But regardless, when I do listen to music, I just decide, like, hey, I feel like listening to some Bob Dylan, throw on some Bob Dylan. But listening to the radio, the interesting thing about it is that, as I'm driving, these songs are playing. There was this one country song that came on, and my mind instantly drifted back to this relationship with a girl, like in high school or something. And I know that's to people who are always driving around listening to the radio, always listening to TV. This doesn't seem like a big deal, but that's kind of my point, right? That's kind of the point of why I'm saying this. Because over the course of that week, I subjected myself to the influence of corporate media as decided by whatever particular hotel that I was staying at. And then music as decided by whatever radio station was going. Basically just letting these things come into my consciousness without any of my filtering or without any of my conscious intent. And because I'm sensitized to it, because I don't normally do that, I was really aware of how disruptive that actually is. It's actually really messed up, man. And I'm not trying to make like a huge deal about it and make some big dramatic scene about it or whatever, but really, your consciousness is your in my opinion, your most precious thing. I mean, to me, that's you. That is you. That's your soul. It is what decides where you're going in the immediate and long-term future, right? Where our focus goes is what grows, right? I think I got that off a little bit, but there's a saying, wherever your focus goes, will grow. And I find that to be true. And this isn't even like a metaphysical woo-woo kind of weird thing. This is just like common sense. Like, if you wake up and you focus your mind on, say, my number one goal is to be fit, to be financially independent, etc., etc. You've set your consciousness on a specific path, and a path that is taking you in the direction that you want to go. When these other influences start popping in, you lose control of your consciousness and where your consciousness is taking you. Now, you can bring it back, right? I in every one of these instances, I did bring it back. But it took a struggle, right? Like, I had to fight, and there was lost time in there. There'd be like an hour, say, where I'm driving, I just keep thinking about this international situation that they were blabbing about on the news, which maybe it was terrible, but I could do nothing about it. I could do literally nothing about it. And all it was disempowering and distracting to me personally, right? And it's the same thing when I was listening to that song. I actually don't see any benefit in dwelling on old, lost emotions. What's dead is dead. And unless there's something like, if it's a relationship where you're like, well, I want to build this, continue this relationship, well, then that's fine. But in other instances, what really is gained by wasting half an hour thinking back to some, crush that you had when you were 13? And if that's your thing, that's cool. I know some people just really like that, right? Like, indulging in the past is, to them, I don't know, not invigorating, like affirming, like life affirming, And like, I can understand that. By dwelling on the past, even the sad parts, it's kind of a way of like giving a salute of respect to your own life, right? And so I get that. But that's not my path, right? Like, I don't actually like dwelling on the past at all. And I don't like churning over negative things that have no positive consequence. I always try to keep my mind focused on a useful and productive pursuit. whatever that may be, whether it be spiritual, emotional, financial, whatever it is. But my point is, even if that's not your thing, even if you're not somebody that's all about like trying to go in certain directions and achieve certain things, even still, you're still allowing these random influences to hijack your consciousness like all the time. And it's unavoidable to some extent because there are TVs and radio everywhere today. I mean, you can't really fully escape it. But by being aware of it, you can I can buffer myself a little bit from the influence. And that's the positive net outcome from this, right? That's the determination that I came from while I was driving was I said, I can't stop this. Like you can't live in a bubble, nor would I want to, right? I mean, I wouldn't want to live in a bubble. But by maintaining awareness, and that's all it really takes, is realizing that your consciousness has been diverted by a foreign influence that does not have your good in mind. And this isn't even talking about like the whole, archon control mechanism type of ideas or whatever. We can do away with all of that kind of imaginative, metaphysical craziness, right? Just in a purely practical sense. These things, they're taking your attention and they're diverting it into other things, which are almost always things that are completely useless to you. And that which is useless to you is harmful to you, right? I mean, that's the big thing, because that is taking away the very limited time and cognitive and emotional energy that you have to be invested in worthwhile and useful pursuits. That is being sucked away from you, and it's being diverted into something that you have no control over, and that in many instances doesn't even really have an influence on your life personally, right? I mean, these media groups, they find a way to make you feel like you're personally invested in it, but really, in so many of these instances, it's completely irrelevant to you personally, and you're just going to forget about it in a month anyway, right? And so, yeah, man, it's weird. It's like we're living in a... I don't know. I'm monitoring my words right now because I don't want to get too extreme with it. But I think it can be conceptualized as a kind of spiritual / psychological battlefield. Where we're all put here and we have a very limited time to accomplish something, right? And to develop ourselves into the best versions of ourselves that we can be. And maybe that is the end pursuit, right? Maybe that's it. And all the other things that come out of that are just kind of symptoms of the core purpose, which is just being the best you that you can be. And so we're given this limited amount of time. And while we're going through this battlefield of consciousness, there's all these things trying to distract us and take us away. And divert our consciousness and our attention and our awareness, and either in things that are overtly and just wholly negative and pointless, or in things that aren't really harmful, but they're wasteful, which is then harmful, right? You know what I mean? And, it's just interesting. It's interesting to really sit down and feel that, and really... just really feel that and truly become aware of how there are constantly these things, these media forces that are trying to distract you from your own purpose or from your own just peace of mind, right? Maybe that's all it is. Maybe you're somebody who's like, well, dude, I don't think there is a purpose in this life and I don't want one. I just want peace of mind. Well, that's cool. But even then, these things are disrupting your peace of mind, right? And we're not going to change the world. The world is what the world is. But I think it helps to become aware of it. And by being aware of it, you can buffer the negative impact of it, right? That's the direction that I took. And so I just wanted to share that in my own personal experience, but also my goal is always to share things that could possibly help any of you out there. You just help somebody like have some make a distinction in their mind that could help their own lives, right? So that's why I figured I would share that real quick. But yeah, interesting stuff. And then conversely, if you become more deliberate and conscious and intentional with the influences that you put into your mind, you can have the opposite effect, where you can help take yourself where you do want to go, right? It's just by becoming more conscious of what you choose for entertainment and what you choose for, just the influences that are coming into your mind. That's about it, man. That's it. But all right, so Appleknocker's coming. Channel's growing. A lot of ideas. I'm really excited by. A lot of great interviews lined up. I will be resuming the interview shortly now that I'm getting settled back in. There was another portion I was thinking of adding to the channel, but I'll see, because I actually started another channel. I only made one video, but it was about getting back into shape. I've been at various points in my life. I've been in very good shape, particularly when I was in the military, but other times too. Over the last couple of years, I've gotten out of shape a little bit, and so one of my personal focuses right now is getting back into really nasty shape. And so I was thinking of adding that. Like I said, I started the other channel. Again, not for ego purposes, but I figured, maybe along my journey, I could share knowledge for other people that could help. I could interview subject matter experts about nutrition and fitness and etc. And I could then add value to everybody's lives. As people get to follow along, they get to learn for their own lives and get themselves into shape. And so I started the other channel with that central theme, because that's not what this channel is about. And I was actually also thinking about this while I was driving. I am so grateful and so humbled by every subscriber, and by the fact that you take your time out of your life. You have a million entertainment options, and you take that time to listen to me, right? I know it's kind of like cool in the modern social media world or whatever, to just say, well, I don't care, man, I'm going to do my thing, whatever. That's not how I look at it. I sincerely appreciate every person who subscribes and watches my content. It's actually hard to believe sometimes with all the options out there. There are people who sit there and listen to me. That's crazy, man. And I have every intention of honoring that. So I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, I don't give a shit, I'm just going to do my own thing. I don't want to be like that. I'm going to do my own thing, but I want feedback, and I want to know how the channel, what you're looking for as subscribers, right? Because I can just do the other channel, and then that channel will automatically draw in people who are looking for getting back into shape, right? At in your 30s and 40s. And so I could just build another channel around that audience. I don't have to create a bunch of gunk with the audience that I have and put annoying stuff in your subscription feed that you don't want and you're not interested in, and then maybe you'll unsubscribe, right? And I don't want to do that. I want to honor the fact that you watch my content, you spend time to listen to me talk. So I want to honor that. So I guess if anybody's watching to this point, I'd want to know if that would be so off-putting that you would not care to follow the channel anymore, in which case I will just build it on that other channel, which I've already started. Or if you think, hey, that is kind of cool, I would be interested. One thing I can promise is nothing that I do goes normal, man. Nothing. I promise you that whether it's fitness or whether it's, the egregores of the Manson family, it's basically impossible for me to just go a normal route like the normal person does. I can't help it. I've actually tried, and I'm just incapable of it. So I can promise that the content would be interesting and not like your usual fitness type stuff. But still, if that would just be annoying to people, and I'm not going to do it, I can just do it on the other channel. I could build 2 different channels. So yeah, that's just something I'd be curious about what people hear. The other thing is, I'm definitely going to be getting away from a lot of the serial killer type stuff. That's for a couple reasons. Number one, like I said, my interest in those things have always been a little unusual or kind of out of the norm, because it's not the sensationalized murders that interest me. It's the metaphysical, spiritual consciousness implications of those events, right? That's what really interests me, is looking at these things through the frame of an animist, of somebody who believes that the entire universe is consciousness, and trying to figure out where those events stand when you look at the universe as this screaming beast of pure consciousness, with much deeper things always going behind what we see in front of us. There's deeper information out there. The universe is binary code. There's bigger things happening. And so when I look at those events, like I'm trying to look beyond the surface events, and I'm trying to kind of look through them at what the implications are behind it. What's going on in the binary, man? Like, what's going on in the deep information? I'm not interested in what the browser interprets for me. I want to see what's beyond it. But what I have found is that those subjects, understandably, I don't know. I don't know if they really breed the kind of mindset that I like being in. And I have noticed, in some of you, I've made some friends, particularly from the Son of Sam things. Nothing I'm about to say applies to you. But in the broader social circle that surrounds these things, it's not really the kind of people I want to be involved with. There's just a lot of drama, a lot of what I consider just really kind of goofy, egotistical, whatever. I don't want to. That's like I don't. I'm also not trying to get into the negativity of criticizing people or things. But it's not my thing, man. And there's just I think the circle around that strikes me as somewhat toxic, if I'm being perfectly honest, which is probably not surprising, right? Because those events are pretty bad. Though there are some people, including a couple that are people that I have become friends with through this, that have very personal reasons for being invested in the story, and I respect that. And those people have their own life story is somehow entwined with this, and I get that. What I'm talking about is generally the type of people who come to that kind of thing, not as a, yeah, I'll check this out. The kind of people that are just like immersed in it day after day for months or years on end. I don't think it's a healthy mindset. I think it's actually quite toxic, and I think that manifests when you watch what I find to be just absurd backbiting and drama that I have witnessed in that circle. And it's not my thing. Anyway, I like I said, I don't want to keep going on because I'm not looking to insult people, but it's just silly to me, and I have no interest in it. And I also have no interest in fixating upon. I'm interested in, like I said, the information that goes on beyond that. I'm interested in things like the egregores and the pivot points of consciousness, and this playground bizarre reality that we're in, and what it all means, and where it's all going, and who's at the switches, man. Like, who's programming this thing, and where are they taking us? Or are we programming it? And if we're programming it, then where are we taking it, right? Those are the things that interest me. And I'm very interested in the effects that come out of those events, right? Like, those particular, the Manson family, the Son of Sam, a couple other events have been so impactful just on national and even global consciousness that I'm interested in the effects that seem to stem out of them and what that might indicate about the intent behind them, if there is this deeper wellspring of information, of this consciousness that's behind everything, right? That's why those particular events interest me. But they are still murders, right? I mean, it's still stories of murders, and which is a very ugly thing, and very sad stories. And I don't really know if I'd like continuing to plug my consciousness into those things, because you plug your consciousness into those things and it's a two-way feed, man. And I'm just gonna. I think I'm gonna start consciously kind of moving away from that, which I know some of you out there subscribe specifically for that. And like I said, I completely am so grateful, and I respect the fact that you are subscribed and you take the time to watch my content. But at the same time, that's just not a direction that I want to go personally, nor is it a direction that I want to take this channel in. There's enough of that, man. There's just enough of that. There's enough of all this doom and gloom and darkness out there. And anyway, I'm rambling. The point is, it's not my thing, and I'm going to start getting away from it. I think it's inevitable that I'll talk about these things like now and then, because they are things that have fascinated me for years. But I am going to stop making content like revolving around them. Just not where I want to be, and not where I want to take this channel or the people listening. So I totally understand if the people who subscribe for those reasons decide to unsubscribe. Like, no hard feelings. I get that. And it's not something I've decided because I am not respectful of your subscriptions or your time that you spend watching me. It's just not the direction I want to go. I had a lot of time to think while driving, and it's a firm decision I've made. So that's about it, man. And I hope everybody's doing great. Hope everybody is doing awesome, and that your lives are going well, and that you've been able to keep some confidence and some keep some confidence and some happiness and some optimism with all of these dreadful assaults on our consciousness happening all the time. Every time that you manage to keep your head up and drive forward positively is a victory, because there's a lot of negative weight out there right now, man. A lot of negative weight. So yeah, all right, that's about it, friends. Thank you very much, and like I said, I hope everybody's doing well, and I'll be coming with interviews are coming, man. Interviews are coming, which I know is why most of you are here. So all right, peace out.